Hello, you're watching TVP World News. I'm Jonasz Lewicki. More than 30 people have been killed in Israeli strikes on Lebanon Monday morning, based on data provided by the country's health ministry. Israel attacked the Hezbollah-controlled suburbs of Beirut after the Iran-backed group launched missiles and drones towards Israel in retaliation for the killing of Iran's supreme leader Ali Khamenei. Israeli military warned residents of around 50 Lebanese towns and villages to evacuate ahead of attacks. The United Arab Emirates has reported 3 people have been killed since Saturday in Iran's retaliatory strikes, while explosions have also been reported in Jordan, Iraq, Bahrain and Kuwait, where 1 person was killed by shrapnel from an intercepted missile. British forces are reportedly responding to a suspected drone strike at this military base in Cyprus, with no casualties reported. In Iran, at least 153 people were reportedly killed after an explosion at a girls' school. Iran claims the blast was the result of a US or Israeli strike, although the circumstances of the tragedy remain unconfirmed, with both Washington and Tel Aviv denying any involvement. President Trump said in a statement that the US military has eliminated 9 Iranian warships and destroyed the country's naval headquarters, adding that the conflict could last for about 4 weeks. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen spoke to the President of Cyprus following a Shahed drone strike on the British RAF base located in the island country. According to von der Leyen, although Cyprus, an EU member state, was not the target of the attack, the bloc's members stand together in face of any threat.
I talked with President Nikos Christodoulidis, who briefed me on the single incident that occurred shortly after midnight involving an unmanned aerial vehicle targeting the British base in Akrotiri. While the Republic of Cyprus was not the target, let me be clear, we stand collectively, firmly and unequivocally with our member states in the face of any threat.
US President Donald Trump warned in a televised address on Sunday that, and I quote, "there will likely be more casualties on the American side," as the joint US and Israeli strikes in Iran continued. He stated that 3 US military service members have been killed so far, adding that, and I quote again, "America will avenge these deaths."
Over the past 36 hours, the United States and its partners have launched Operation Epic Fury, one of the largest, most complex, most overwhelming military offensives the world has ever seen. Nobody's seen anything like it. We have hit hundreds of targets in Iran, including Revolutionary Guard facilities, Iranian air defense systems. Just now it was announced that we knocked out 9 ships plus their naval building, all in a matter of literally minutes. Iran's formerly supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, is dead. Earlier today, CENTCOM shared the news that 3 U.S. military service members have been killed in action, and sadly, there will likely be more. Before it ends, that's the way it is, likely be more, but we'll do everything possible where that won't be the case. But America will avenge their deaths and deliver the most punishing blow to the terrorists who have waged war against basically civilization.
The Pentagon told a closed-door meeting with Congress that there was no intelligence indicating Iran planned to attack United States forces first, according to Reuters. The information shared by defense chiefs in Sunday's meeting appears at odds with one of the main arguments for the war made by senior administration officials. They told reporters on Saturday that President Donald Trump decided to launch the attacks in part because of indicators that Tehran might strike US forces in the Middle East, stressing they could do so, and I quote, "perhaps preemptively." 2 sources, speaking on condition of anonymity, told Reuters that in the course of the briefing, administration officials emphasized that Iran's ballistic missiles posed a threat to US interests, but there was no intelligence about Tehran attacking American forces first. Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi said, and I quote, "Regime change in Iran is impossible." He added that Tehran has procedures in place in the event of the supreme leader's death, and a new leader would be appointed within the next 2 days.
Well, if their goal is change the regime, that is a mission impossible. The demise of the leader doesn't mean that, regime change or the change of the political system in Iran. No, we have a very well-established political system. We have a very rich constitution. And based on that, all, state institutions are in place. They are doing their job, their function. And as I explained before, even in the demise of the supreme leader, we have a procedure and that we have immediately activated. And you will see the result either tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, that a new leader would be appointed by the Assembly of Experts. All of those experts are elected by the people themselves.
Debris from an intercepted drone damaged an Abu Dhabi complex housing the Estonian embassy and several other international missions, causing minor injuries to a woman and her child. This comes as European diplomats are scrambling to evacuate citizens of their respective countries who had found themselves stranded in areas affected by the ongoing escalation. The logistics of evacuations is said to be particularly challenging. Major hubs, including Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Doha, were shut down or are operating under severe restrictions for a second day. Airspace over Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Israel, Bahrain, the United Arab Emirates and Qatar remained largely empty. More than 1,800 flights to airports across the Middle East were cancelled on Sunday, after at least the same number had been called off on Saturday. The region is a major hub for passengers transferring flights, spreading the disruption far beyond the immediate zone of the conflict. The United Kingdom has accepted a US request to use British bases for defensive efforts against Iranian missiles, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer said on Sunday. Starmer stressed that the UK remembers the mistake of Iraq and will not join any offensive actions.
The United States has requested permission to use British bases for that specific and limited defensive purpose. We have taken the decision to accept this request to prevent Iran firing missiles across the region, killing innocent civilians, putting British lives at risk, and hitting countries that have not been involved. The basis of our decision is the collective self-defence of long-standing friends and allies and protecting British lives. We are not joining these strikes, but we will continue with our defensive actions in the region. And we will also bring experts from Ukraine together with our own experts to help Gulf partners shoot down Iranian drones attacking them.
A fighter jet has crashed near an American airbase in Kuwait. Details of the incident remain unclear, although reports suggest that at least one of 2 pilots has survived. Footage published on social media shows the aircraft on fire and falling out of the air, according to CNN. The broadcaster reported that the plane came down around 10 kilometers from the US Ali Al Salem base in Kuwait. A second film apparently shows the pilot, who had ejected, being picked up by local Kuwaitis and transported to safety. CNN reports that it is not clear what caused the crash nor which Air Force the plane belongs to. Some outlets report the fighter jet as a US Air Force F-15E Strike Eagle, although CNN says the aircraft might also have been an F-A-18, a type of aircraft operated by both the militaries of the US and Kuwait. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has openly condemned the conflict in Iran, saying it is violating international law. Sanchez also called for an immediate de-escalation and for dialogue to resume between the countries involved as soon as possible.
Today, more than ever, it is essential to remember that one could be against a hateful regime, as is the case with the Iranian regime, as is the whole of Spanish society, and at the same time be against an unjustified, dangerous military intervention outside of international law. That one must be against a war initiated without the authorization of the United States Congress or the United Nations Security Council, and, as I have said before, one that violates international law, and that there is always room for a negotiated solution, instead of being dragged along by the devastation of arms as the only possible way out. Therefore, I would like once again, as we have done since the beginning, to appeal for immediate de-escalation, for full respect for international law in all the conflicts we are unfortunately suffering, and for the urgent resumption of dialogue as soon as possible. That is where Spain will be, and that is where I believe the whole of the European Union should be.
In an exclusive interview for TVP World, Vladimir Milov, a former advisor to Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny, said Iran hoped that Putin would step in and help, but got nothing. Milov added that Russia is no longer reliant on Iran for Shahed drones, which it now produces domestically, and Putin does not want to risk getting involved.
When Israel and the United States have bombed Iran in order to halt its nuclear weapons program, Iran did hope for a massive, including military support from Russia, but got nothing. And this is one of the factors when everybody is saying at the moment that Russia and Iran are allies. This is technically true, but the alliance as such was badly damaged by the lack of help in the hour of need in June last year when Iran was attacked by Israel and the US. It did reach out, but it did not receive any help, after which basically the relations were strained. So we don't see like any active cooperation at the moment between Russia and Iran. The Shahed drones, which are frequently mentioned, basically Russia is producing them by itself. At the moment, technology was transferred some time ago. So like direct interaction between the two regimes is not negligible, but definitely not something that Putin relies upon today, which means this is, yes, that's true that Iran did hope that Putin would step in and help in the event of a US attack, but it was evident more than half a year ago, in June last year, that Putin is not ready risking that.
3 people were killed and 14 others injured on Sunday morning when a gunman opened fire from a vehicle outside a bar in Austin, Texas. According to the FBI, the evidence collected so far points towards the incident being a potential act of terrorism.
Obviously, it's still way too early in the process to determine an exact motivation, but there were indicators that on the subject and in his vehicle that indicate potential nexus to terrorism. Again, it's still too early to make a determination on that. That's why we're investigating it very closely with our partners with Austin Police Department.
And that's all for now. Thank you for watching, and please stay with us here on TVP World.